Lana Derrick grew up in Terrace, BC, and was part of the Gatineau First Nations. Lana was a loved member of her family. She was known to be a bit of a prankster and she loved the outdoors. She determined that she was going to attend college after high school, and in 1995 she enrolled in the forestry program at Northwest Community College in Houston, BC. The college had many campuses in different communities along the northwest stretch of Highway 16. Lana was attending classes in Houston, which is a 3-hour drive from Terrace. Lana was recognized as a good student and took her studies seriously, and she was a person that made friends quickly. She also still visited her family often, returning home on the weekends for a visit. The Friday before Thanksgiving, Lana got a ride back to Terrace with a fellow classmate. She knew her parents were preparing to work all weekend to finish up a forestry contract. Lana arrived, then dropped off her belongings and headed into town. Clarice, Lana's stepsister, spotted her walking down the street and stopped to let her know that there was some money for her from her father and she needed to pick it up. Clarice said that she could pick it up at her apartment, and then they parted ways. Around 3:30 a.m., Clarice woke up to a knocking on her apartment door. It was Lana. She had come for her money. Lana invited Clarice to a party, but Clarice declined and handed her the $30, and they said goodnight. Clarice could tell that Lana was intoxicated, but not anxious or upset. She felt that Lana was alone. The next day, Lana's parents noticed that her bags were at home, but they surmised that she was out with friends. On Monday, when her bags were still untouched, and then again on Tuesday, they knew that something was wrong. Her classes were in session that day and Lana would not miss them. After contacting friends and family, they concluded that Lana hadn't been seen in 3 days. They filed a missing persons report with the RCMP, but they felt brushed aside. The police suggested that maybe she was out partying. No official search began until nearly a week had passed. Lana's parents stated that the RCMP told them that they had put in 72 hours of searching. They wanted everyone to return home, but her parents retorted, "You go home, we're not done." A month after the report was filed, a witness came forward to say they had seen her at the Petro-Canada station in Thornhill at 3:30 p.m. on the morning of her disappearance. Thornhill is located across the river, and the station sits on the south side of Highway 16. The witness states that Lana got out of the back seat of a blue car, walked into the gas station, and then walked back to the car, got in, and they drove off, heading to the Northern Motor Inn. Unfortunately, by the time the police had obtained and acted on this tip, the gas station had already recorded over the surveillance footage. Sketches and detailed descriptions were released of the 2 men that Lana had been with, but nothing ever became of it. Lana's boyfriend was also a suspect. He was an ex-boyfriend of her sister Clarice, and Clarice broke it off after he became too rough with her. He had committed suicide the day after Lana vanished. Police did not find a connection, and Lana is still missing. Nicole was born on July 23, 1977. Her height is 5 foot 7 inches and she weighs 130 pounds. She has brown hair and blue eyes. At the time of her disappearance, she wore a size 9 black shoe with velour straps and blue and black swirls, a red long-sleeved shirt, and brownish green capri pants. She was carrying 2 bags, a purple and a black mountain equipment co-op backpack, and a homemade green shoulder bag with a blue patch and a dragon on it. She also wore octagon wire-rimmed glasses. They were prescription. Barb, Nicole's mom, attributes her mature entrance back into school to her middle child, Nicole. She had this way of making you believe in yourself. Barb said that everyone in the family of 5 would turn to Nicole, the middle child, for advice. She was an old soul, wise beyond her years. Nikki blew me away sometimes. On June 21, 2002, Nicole Hoare, 2 days shy of her 26th birthday, vanished without a trace. She was on a week's break from her summer tree planting job at a camp deep in the forest. She decided to surprise her older sister Michelle, who was at a music festival in Smithers. Nicole was working the summer and saving her funds to return to school to finish a master's degree in fine arts. Her fellow tree planters gave her a ride to a gas station where she was dropped off. The last eyewitness report of anyone seeing her was a small cameo of her giving a friendly wave goodbye before she stuck her thumb out to hitch a ride. Nicole failed to arrive at her destination. Within a week, she was reported missing. The RCMP have received over 1,400 tips, and not one of them have yielded a single clue as to her whereabouts. Nicole, the shyest of her siblings, loved to spend time in the outdoors hiking with her family. Despite her quiet nature, she wasn't afraid to reach out and befriend people from all walks of life. She was not adverse to striking up a conversation with the homeless. She didn't judge people, said her father. Nicole saw the best in people. She really believed in people. He recalls her love for art. She'd come home at midnight, covered in black from working with clay, firing up the ovens, a big smile on her face. She absolutely loved what she did. Barb remembers being in Prince George after her daughter went missing. They were in the parking lot when the weight of the situation finally hit her. She broke down, but remembers an Indigenous man got out of his truck and walked straight over to her and placed a hand on her shoulder and prayed, "Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, for thine is the kingdom and power and glory, for now and forevermore." Nicole's parents were struck and have never forgotten the man for his simple, selfless act of compassion. Nicole is still missing. Tamara Chipman was born in Prince Rupert as a member of the Wet'suwet'en Nation. She was known as a lively and mischievous child. She had inherited her mom's thick and curly hair. She was close to her grandfather and was devastated when he passed away. Tamara and her family moved to Terrace, where she spent most of her teenage years. She grew into a strong and independent soul with a fiery and feisty personality. Tamara's aunt recalls that she was the humor, the laughter, and the fun behind all of us when we were all together for family gatherings. She was close with her Aunt Gladys, and the two would see each other daily. Tamara gave birth to a son and called him Jaden. She was 19 at this time. She began hanging out with a rough crowd of people and started doing drugs. Her parents separated years earlier, and her mother moved to Prince Rupert, and her father remained in Terrace. Tamara split her time between her father in Terrace and her mother in Prince Rupert, visiting each parent frequently. In September of 2005, Tamara had been in Prince Rupert for a few days. Her vehicle had broken down and was in for repair in Terrace. The last sighting of Tamara was near an industrial park just outside of Prince Rupert on September 21st, 2005. She was hitchhiking towards Terrace. Sadly, it would be months before she would be reported missing. Each half of her family assumed that she was with the other half. She was also facing assault charges, and when she missed her court date, it was assumed that she was trying to avoid sentencing. In early November, her father Tom realized that no one had heard from Tamara for some time. Her rent wasn't paid and her bank account went untouched for months. He reported her missing to the RCMP on November 15th. They formed a joint task force between Terrace and Prince Rupert. Tom found the police helpful during this time. Several searches by volunteers occurred over the next 2 months. Although no suspects have been formally named, the RCMP are fairly certain that they know what happened to Tamara. Since her death, 2 men and 1 woman have come forward stating that they saw her hitchhiking and they picked her up. The woman told police that Tamara and one of the men in the car started arguing. He hit her and strangled her to death in the car. They then pulled over in a remote area along the highway and dumped her body. The man returned later and buried her in the forest. The police searched the area with the witness and cadaver dogs, but Tamara's body was never found. The witness and 2 men are now passed. Tamara's family are still searching for answers. Alia Sarek Auger. In 2006, Alia was 14 years old and she was living in Prince George with her family. She was the youngest of 6 children. They were a very close-knit family. Thursday, February 2nd, 2006, Alia and her sister Kyla, along with her brother Tim, headed down to the Pine Center Mall to spend the day shopping and hanging out. The mall was the biggest at that time for the city of Prince George. The siblings ran into a group of friends and decided to go drinking. Tim, her brother, changed his mind and left for home, despite Alia asking him to stay. During the evening, Alia and Kyla became separated. Kyla made it back home, early in the morning but didn't find her sister like she expected. The family spent the rest of the day searching for her but came up empty-handed. Friday morning, Audrey Auger, Alia's mom, went to the police to report her missing. They told the family to wait for 78 hours, then return and file a report. The file was made official on February 6, 2006. Meanwhile, the family had already been actively searching, putting up flyers and posters everywhere in Prince George. February 10th, almost a week since she had been last seen at the mall, a motorist driving on the outskirts of Prince George alerted the police about seeing something in a ditch alongside Highway 16 near Tabor Mountain. When police went to investigate, they discovered the body of a young woman in the ditch. Her body was identified as that of Alia Auger. She was found 23 kilometers east of downtown Prince George. She was found bare without any belongings. Police recovered a necklace that was later identified as hers, given to her by her mom. It was determined that she died of blunt force trauma to her head. Police had found through investigation that she had gone to a friend's house to get a ride home. The mother was unable to give her a ride, so Alia didn't want to phone her own mother for a ride. She was seen walking towards a drug house, but police cleared all that were in there. Surveillance video showed her walking in a direction of her house, passing the Save on Gas bar at 1 a.m. There were also sightings of Alia getting into a black van. None of these sightings led to any arrests or suspects. In the years following her daughter's death, Audrey has never given up on finding answers. She would set out every year to walk what she called the Highway of Hope Walk to bring awareness to all the women who have gone missing or have been murdered along Highway 16. Tragically, on March 5, 2013, Audrey was the victim of a vehicle collision on Highway 16 where she died. Kayla Rose McKay was 13 years old when she disappeared from Prince Rupert on April 13, 2004. Her body was found 2 days later near the train tracks on the waterfront on Prince Rupert George Hills Way. Kayla's cause of death is unknown, but was classified as being neither suicide nor homicide. In 2014, a coroner found her death to be due to acute alcohol poisoning. They could not rule out criminal involvement, and Kayla's family continues to challenge this finding. If you have any information regarding the death of Kayla McKay, you are encouraged to contact the Prince Rupert RCMP at 250-624-2136. This is a conclusion to the missing and murdered young women that are officially recognized by the RCMP through the EPANA project. The task force was created as a result of E-Division Criminal Operation ordering the review and investigation of these unsolved cases along the Highway of Tears. The purpose of this investigation was to determine if a serial killer or killers is responsible for murdering these young women. In 2006, the task force took ownership of 9 investigations, and in 2007 the number of cases was increased to 18. EPANA considers these cases open, and if you have any information about any of these cases, please call their tip line at 1-877-543-4822. 1-877-543-4822. In 2009-10, EPANA received over $5 million in annual funding, but this has since dramatically declined due to the budget cutbacks, receiving only $800,000 for the years 2013 and 2014. In 2013, Craig Collins, the RCMP Deputy Commissioner, warned that further budget reductions from the provincial government would greatly affect investigations. A 2014 Freedom of Information request stated that the task force had dropped from 70 officers to 12 since 2010. The EPANA project also includes cases along Highways 5, 24, and 7. I will not stop my videos covering the missing and murdered cases along Highway 16 or the Highway of Tears. There are many, many more missing and murdered women and children along this highway. So please stay tuned, because I am going to release many, many more. And I already have released many in the past. One in particular was Immaculate Mackie Basil, and her case is really interesting. I released a video, and I will leave the link in the comment section. I really hope that you will go listen to it and listen to all these missing in BC cases that I've released. So far I've done over 33, I think. This is the 33rd. So yeah, it's really sad that BC has this plague of missing people, missing and murdered and unsolved cases. And hopefully these will be solved in the future, because I really just have a burden for these families that have these loved ones that have no answers to these cases, have no answers to what happened to their loved ones. I can't imagine living through that. It would be a nightmare. So stay tuned for more videos on the Highway of Tears that I'll be releasing shortly, and have a nice afternoon, and we will see you on the next video. Bye.